Hello guys, welcome to the next episode of How Should I Develop? This guy has actually been sent in by one of my Twitch viewers over Twitter, Ribera. So we're looking at today an AMC who can also play in the midfield and the AML position. So looking at him, he's actually amazingly good for a 15-year-old. There probably isn't very many 15-year-olds I've seen with stats like this. Looking at the stats that he has, and looking at the positions available, they have him as an AP, a Shadow Striker, and an Engage. I would say that's pretty fair assessment of it. I mean, he's got good flair for his age, great vision for his age, good determination. His dribbling, finishing, and first touch is just amazing. For this, once again, for his age, his passing technique. Physicals, wow. What I would probably work on, or at least start concentrating on, is maybe his off the ball, just so he can get himself into those, depending on the role he's going to play, into those good positions to either be a playmaker, to be able to create himself space, to be able to use his flair and his vision, or if you're going to be a Shadow Striker, to get him into those positions to be able to score goals. That's the first thing I'd look at, and then probably once it gets a little bit higher, I would look at maybe just putting him on a role of whatever you're going to play him as, depending on your tactic that you're using. I would say he would probably turn out to be sort of your playmaking character on the pitch, either probably in the AMC position. But yeah, he's got amazing stats for a 15-year-old. You're very lucky to have him. So let's look at his second page. So he's fairly determined, level-headed, runs with ball through center, and hugs the line. Hugs the line would only really be useful if you're playing him on the left-hand side. But I mean, it's not going to be a huge issue. If you had somebody in your team that had around the same level of determination, probably I'd go as low as maybe 15, that had professionalism in there, and ideally like reserved or evasive or unflappable, or a mixture of the two. I think it would really help kickstart his development. It's certainly something that I would be on the lookout for. I'd actually hold back from putting him in the first team, because I find in FM15 that if you start playing them at a very young age, they soon come up with an issue saying this person already has a senior role in the role in the senior team and cannot be tutored, which you don't want. So I'd probably hold back on that. I would say, ideally, if you could spend maybe the next 2 seasons until he gets to maybe about 17, 18, keeping him in your under 19s, just working on his, on things like his off the ball, maybe his passing. I'd work on sort of switching between those two. Then see if you can find him a tutor to give him some professionalism. That would really help. And then maybe send him out on loan for a season, or if you're at a point where with your team you really need to have him in your first team squad, then you could maybe put him in as either start bringing him in as a sub and see how he plays. He might have a rough first season possibly, and then you might have to send him out on loan, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. I've had players who have looked very good, and I've had them in the first team squad and they haven't played well, and then I've had to send them out on loan, and after a season or two out on loan they come back and they're just amazing players, and they never leave the first team squad. So let's have a look at his report. So potential to be a world-class attacking midfielder. I'd agree with that, unless he gets some horrendous injury. I don't see why he shouldn't develop into a great player. Highly ambitious, yep. Thrives on playing in big matches. That's amazing. He's improved considerably. Well, that's going to happen. I mean, he's a good player. Fairly determined attitude. Well, that's reflected in his personality. Great pace, top speed, can play in a couple of positions. And once again, it says may benefit from being tutored. So it sounds like you might have somebody in your team that could tutor him. Current ability, yeah, it probably looks like his ability at the moment wouldn't really slot into a role that you had. Plus, you don't really want to throw a 15-year-old in there. If you think about it in real life, there's very few players that would be able to come in as a 15-year-old and be able to perform at a high level. Fairly inconsistent performer. While that might be combated with some professionalism, I wouldn't say that's a reason to get rid of him. A fairly selfish player might not terribly be a bad thing considering the stats that he has and the potential stats that he could have. But, I mean, might be a slight hindrance. You kind of want him as a playmaker to be a distributor of the ball rather than I'm going to do it all myself. You want him to be able to... You either want him to be a playmaker and bring other people into the team, or you want him to be able to be something like a shadow striker and be so good that you have confidence in him finishing it off. But the downside of that is if the team starts relying on him, then if he gets injured, then it could be an issue. But that's not a major problem. He might grow out of that. He is only 15. I wouldn't be worried about the tendency not to get stuck into rough challenges. He's not playing really a role where he's going to have to try and tackle the ball and get the ball back, like, say, a ball-winning midfielder. Technique, yeah, you could improve on his technique. Let's see what it's at. Technique's at 12. It's not terrible. I wouldn't say that's your most important stat you should be looking at. But, just maybe keep an eye to see. But, like I said, a great player. I'd love to have him on my team. I think he's going to be a mainstay in your squad for years to come, and a great pickup. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do have any players that you want me to do a How Should I Develop series on, or a video on, by all means you can leave them in the comments below. You could tweet them at me, and I'd be more than happy to do it. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you on my live stream.